So if philosophies are the foundational aspect of success, how do we change them? Now that we know that it starts with philosophies, and philosophies are dictating our attitude, which gives us a particular action when we're acting, when we're doing what we're doing, that behavior. And that will create a certain result in our life, and that ultimately, those results provide our lifestyle, whether it's a good lifestyle or a bad lifestyle, a lifestyle we desire, a lifestyle we don't want. That's that order. So we're setting our philosophies up. You may be thinking to yourself, well, how do I change my philosophies? You've probably heard people say, well, it's just the way I am. I was born this way and this is how I am. And now that's an excuse. I hate to shake you with it, but that is an excuse. You can decide to change who you are. You can change how you operate. The good news is God made us in a way where we're not a tree. We're not a branch, of a tree, where we have no say in what happens. If there's no water in our location, a tree can't move. It dies. But as a human being, you can unroot yourself and walk to where there's water, walk to where there's prosperity. And it's starting with changing our philosophies. And before I get into that, I want to talk about four ways that will help us to change our philosophies. These four things are everything in how we interpret the world. My mentor said, Josh, if you change these four things, your philosophies will change. If you change these four things, everything around you will change. Your life will get better. So the first thing you want to change is what you see, what you're looking at all the time. If you're like me, I was watching TV all the time. I'd get home from work after 12 hours. I just kind of wanted to unwind. I wanted to plop on the couch. It was commute to work 12 hours, commute home, and I was tired. I just kind of wanted to forget my life because it seemed like no matter how hard I worked, I wasn't getting further ahead. And most people around me, they felt the same way, and most everyone's saying, well, it just doesn't matter. And I'd ask people, hey, how you doing? They're like, hanging in there. I'm like, don't let go. You're gonna fall off the cliff, and people just had this misery about them, almost like their life didn't matter. And I had felt that way. And so when I got home, I turned on the TV and a couple things happened. Either I was watching somebody that lived a better life and hoping I could be like them, or someone lived a worse life and I was thinking, well, at least I'm not like that. And I was just kind of numbing my mind out and just vegetating and just escaping in a fictional world. And meanwhile, weeks are passing, months are passing, years are passing, and I'm just getting older. And my mentor said, God, you've got to change that. Change what you're looking at every day, man. You're putting garbage into your brain. And so I started watching videos like this. I started seeking different information. I started showing up at events and watching speakers and listening to people. So that was the first thing. So you had to change what you see. And for me, I got rid of my television. I got rid of it and changed it. The second thing is change what you hear. Change what you're listening to. What are you hearing every day? And if you're like me, I'd be in the car, right, on my way to work and listening to the radio. And I was memorizing the songs, or I'd listen to the talk radio and, listening to the jibber jabber and all the nonsense going on in the world. And I can't do anything about that. My mentor said, Josh, I know there's all this political stuff, and yes, you should be informed, but here, right now, what you got to do is help your own personal economy. Get rid of anything in your brain that doesn't have anything that doesn't change your philosophy, that doesn't give you the tools to become successful, to be where you want to be. Because a drowning person can't save another drowning person. In order for you to be able to go help and make difference, you've got to take care of yourself first. So change what you hear. So instead of listening to the radio and memorizing tapes, I started getting introduced to great audios like Unlocking Your Legacy by Paul J. Meyer. This is amazing stuff. This is one of the best audios I've ever heard. Like Cultivating Your an Unshakable Character by Jim Rohn, another incredible audio. 17 Laws of Teamwork, great audio. The Influencer. I mean, this is good stuff. Nobody wants a boss, everybody wants a coach by Art Williams. Phenomenal stuff if you're going to build a big business. Of course, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. These are just a few. And so instead of listening to the radio, I started listening to this quality stuff. I called it Drive Time University. And I was getting a degree while I was commuting to work, and I was starting to change my attitude because my philosophies were starting to change based on all this information. The third thing he said to change is change what you read. Now for me, in the beginning, I didn't really read much. And that was a thing I had to change because I always made the excuse of, I'd open up a book and I'd start reading the sentences, and next thing you knew, my eyes kept going, but my brain went somewhere else. I would even turn the page and don't even know what I read. It was embarrassing. I'd have to turn back the page, and sometimes it would take 10 minutes just to complete a page or two. And so therefore I told myself I can't read, or I'm just not good at it. Now, every successful leader, anyone that you've met that's achieved extraordinary success, is an avid reader. Why? Because you can learn so much from the mistakes of others. I mean, there's so many books written on someone who's achieved what you want to achieve and who's probably been in a very similar situation. Wouldn't it just make sense to read their story and be able to add that knowledge and that insight in your life? There's people who've dedicated a lifetime of study into learning a particular subject matter, and they put it in a book. And all you gotta do is read the book and you'll have someone's lifetime of study in, a number of weeks or a number of months, depending on how long it takes you to study through that. So change what you read. I started reading great books. I mean, I always recommend the Bible, whatever your spiritual origin is. I mean, forget the religion in it. The book is unbelievable. It's the best book I've ever read in my life. In fact, almost every book I've ever read that has anything about personal growth is rooted here, has come out of here. So again, I would highly encourage you to read this. It's my favorite book of all time. Another book, this is one of the most recommended books among self-made multimillionaires, is Think and Grow Rich. I mean, this is a phenomenal book. This is going to help change your perception of money and how it can be created and how you can have it. Think and Grow Rich, what a great title. Why We Act the Way You Do by Tim LaHaye. Great book in understanding personality and human beings. And in secret, that's what we deal with as people. This is a good book. Go Pro, by Eric Worre. You want to learn about network marketing, become a network marketing professional, is a phenomenal book. I mean, this is a great read in giving you foundational information on the profession of network marketing. Influence. Again, this book right here, unbelievable. Robert Cialdini, phenomenal read. And I could go on and on. I got 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership here. Failing Forward, how the most successful people are also the biggest failures, and why people don't succeed is because they're afraid to fail. Whatever it is, my friends, be a reader, become a reader. And he said the fourth thing you want to change is your associations, the people that you're around. One of the things he told me is, Josh, if you can't change the people that you're around, you must change the people you're around. What did he mean? He said, in the beginning, I wanted everyone to come with me on this journey. I was so pumped up. I'm like, man, I wanted to save the world. I wanted to bring everybody because I was introduced to this new information. For me, it was new. It wasn't really new, but it was new to me, and I was so pumped up. The challenge was most people didn't want to come with me. Most people, unfortunately, started throwing rocks at me, in fact. They're like, that stuff doesn't work. You're getting brainwashed. They'd say all this kind of nonsense, and it hurt my feelings. And it almost made me question myself. And the reality is, my friends, for real, you become the average of the 5 human beings that you associate with the most. I bet you took this test right now, write down how you are, your average everything, and write the 5 people that you hang out with the most, the biggest influencers in your life, people you hang out with, and I bet you your bank balance is about the same, your language is about the same, right? Your philosophies are about the same, and worse, probably where you're going is about the same. If it was like me, being in a situation where I wasn't around the highest quality of people, not to say they're bad people, they were just not going in the direction I chose in my life. And so I had to change my associations. I had to get around better people. And how did I do that? I did that by showing up at the secret events, by showing up at the events, showing up where the positive people were and learning from them. And one of the best things I did with the leaders, I'd ask them, hey, what are you reading? And I'd get a tip from what they read, and I would go read that book, and next thing I knew, I had a conversation to talk with them about. And now I'd gain a friend, and I started getting these other people in my association. It changed my life. It changed everything around my life because, see, in my mind, I visualized a scale. And if you've ever seen a scale, it's like a scale of balance, right? On one side of the scale, I had everything I thought I knew about success on one side. I was raised in a neighborhood that wasn't very successful, wasn't very wealthy. My friends weren't wealthy, my parents weren't wealthy, their friends weren't wealthy. No one really knew how to achieve success. My teachers didn't have money. So everything I thought I knew in the world was on one side of the scale. The Social Security Administration says 95% of us are dead or dead broke by age 65. I mean, only 5% are taken care of financially. So in that context, everything I knew was a part of that 95%. And like a lemming, I was heading off the cliff. I just didn't know I was heading off the cliff. My mentor said, listen, you can't stop or remove what's on this side of the scale, but you can restrict it. And what you can do is add to this other side. And if you're able to tip the scales, your philosophies in your mind will change. And how do you do that? You keep adding. Every time you turn off that TV and you start watching new things, you start listening to these CDs, you start reading the books, you're piling onto this side of the scale. Every book, every tape, every book, every tape, every event, every time you're watching a video like this, you're adding to the right side of the scale, and eventually the scale will tip. If you're restricting what's going on the side you don't want, and you're adding the side you do want, it's only a matter of time before your life completely changes. And then it's simple, folks. Then all the actions we're about to go through over these next videos, this won't be difficult for you. It'll be work, don't get me wrong, you're not gonna get rich overnight, all right, and like a lottery, but you can become wealthy very quickly, you know, and you can do that by simply changing the philosophies and doing the actions that we're gonna talk about in the next few videos. So we'll look forward to seeing you on those soon.